Hey everyone. So, I thought I'd do a video today on alcohol and the cravings for alcohol, and trying to maybe get across a few ideas for the causes and effects and strategies for the management of cravings. So alcohol cravings are very common with those who have struggled with alcohol dependence, or those who have developed a habit of frequent drinking. Alcohol cravings feel like an intense desire, or an urge to consume alcohol. And as I found out, they are a very challenging obstacle when trying to stay abstinent and stay away from alcohol. They've got many differing factors by which they're influenced by. And you've got biological factors, physiological factors, and social factors. But managing them and being able to get past them is key in preventing relapse and promoting recovery. I found they had a severe impact on my mental and physical health. And I found it very difficult to get through the early years, especially the early months. Very difficult. Cravings were very tricky to overcome. Now further on down the line, they don't really bother me anymore, except for maybe Christmas and summer. Sometimes I get the odd craving, but not as many as I used to. I think one of the main biological causes of cravings that I found was the effect that alcohol had on my brain's reward system. When I used to consume alcohol, I found it not only relaxed me, but I found it rewarding as well. And I found out later that it releases dopamine, which is of course the neurotransmitter that everyone associates with pleasure and reward. It's just a never-ending cycle of dopamine, gives you a short hit, goes away, you drink more, you get dopamine again, and you're just stuck in a dopamine hit cycle. So over time, the brain just gets used to regular alcohol intake, and that leads to the cravings as your body wants more and more dopamine, and it anticipates the release. And that's what those cravings are. It's your cravings are God. Do you want some more dopamine? Do you want to get that safety feeling? Do you want to get that out of it feeling? Have another drink, and your brain's craving that dopamine. It happens with everything. I mean, not even just alcohol. Our phones are linked with it. Anything that has an addictive nature that you can become addicted to works on the same pathways. Could be anything. Psychological issues as well, they play a significant role in cravings. So I found that alcohol also can become associated with certain emotional states, such as stress and sadness, or anxiety, and as I found out with my anxiety, you crave the alcohol as a way of coping with those negative feelings and those feelings of anxiety or fear. And that's what I used to do. I used to drink to dumb down the anxiety, I think. I think that was my issue in the end. And you just crave it because you know it helps, and it doesn't help in the long run, but you know for that short period that you're drunk, you know you won't have to feel those feelings until the morning, and then they come back. But then you get into that cycle and you're like, well, I need to drink again because I need to get rid of this anxiety, and that's the only thing that's working. And you get stuck in the loop, you get stuck in that alcohol dependence loop. I wish I had known back then other ways to maybe cope with my anxiety and the way I was feeling about things, and it's only now that I have. But yeah, that's another psychological issue, is using alcohol to cope with things, and then when you cut it off, that's it. Your mind knows that will help, so you crave it even more. Also, social and environmental cues play a big part in it, like seeing other people drink, or being in a familiar, drinking environment that you're used to, like a pub or a club, something like that. And if you go in there and you're not drinking, that can also trigger cravings. I had to stay away from pubs for a very long time, maybe 2 or 3 years, before I could go in there and just have a lemonade. I found increased my anxiety and stress in the early days, which made me want to reach for that can. You just feel like you won't be able to maintain the sobriety in challenging situations. And I had that problem where I became agoraphobic because I didn't want to leave the house, because I didn't want to drink. So I just stayed indoors, and then became scared to go out, because I thought if I go out, I'm going to relapse. So that was another issue I faced. In the very early days, the intense cravings even had physical effects on me. I found myself very restless. That would lead to increased heart rate, sweating. It just wasn't a good time while my body learnt that I wasn't able to have the alcohol. But at the same time, when I got those sensations and those feelings, it made me want to drink, because I know that if I had had a drink, 2 cans, that would all go. I'd be as solid as a rock. I'd be in my little bubble. I wouldn't have to feel those emotions, So the cravings were so difficult when it came to those physical symptoms as well. I found my alcohol cravings gave me a state of inner conflict, I guess. In the early days, I'd struggle a lot between the desire of wanting to stay sober and the temptation to drink, which I found very difficult. And that led to feelings of frustration, shame, guilt, especially when I used to relapse. Guilt. Those times I relapsed, the guilt I felt of, oh no, here we go again. What am I going to put everyone through? But ultimately I didn't care, because the alcohol would take over. All these cues I just find act as reminders, really, and create those strong urges. Even if you stop drinking for quite a while, it takes a long time for those urges and those cravings to disappear. So managing alcohol cravings, there's a few strategies that I used, and that was CBT. Now that helped me identify the thoughts and situations that triggered my cravings and learn the strategies I needed to cope without drinking. I also did psychotherapy, where I spoke to a gentleman about many different issues in my past, and that seemed to help as well, being able to get that off my chest. I found that helped. Another good one is mindfulness and relaxation techniques. Breathing exercises are very good. Learning to meditate, it doesn't come overnight. It takes a very, very long time, but it's definitely worth it. Yoga was a big one for me. That really helped take my mind off the cravings. So you learn to feel the urges, but you learn the discipline not to act on the urges. And this helps you learn to tolerate the discomfort. And although it's very difficult, it is definitely worth it in the end. I was offered medication. There are certain medications that can be used for managing the alcohol cravings. There's a few drugs. I can't remember what was one called. Acamprosate or so. Acamprosate, I think it was called. There was another name for it. It was an easier name. I can't really remember. But they have been shown to reduce cravings. They block the rewarding effects of alcohol and help stabilize the brain chemistry disrupted by the alcohol use. So, yeah, I'm sure that helps many people. I didn't go that route myself, but whatever works. I couldn't imagine that would work well just on its own. I think you would have to still incorporate the therapy and lifestyle changes. I don't think just having medication on its own would work particularly well. I think you would have to merge the other strategies with it. You have the support systems, groups such as Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't find that helped me too much. I didn't really agree with the higher power thing. That's, if it works for you, that's great. If you find that is your thing and it keeps you away from alcohol, hey, do it. Throw yourself into it, because anything that keeps you away from the alcohol and helps you in the long run is a winner. However you get there, just get there. It doesn't matter how you get to that point. You got your family and friends, they're always there to provide encouragement and give you understanding. So as annoying as alcohol cravings are, there is a way past them. Alcohol cravings are always going to be tough, especially in those early days. Those early days on the path to recovery from alcohol dependence. They're influenced by many factors: biological, psychological, environmental. It's quite a difficult terrain to navigate in those early days. They can have a profound effect on your well-being, both physically and mentally. You need to get those strategies in place to help you get through those early days. Once you get past those early days, it gets easier. It really does. I think you can get there yourself. You just need to get over the hurdle of the first years, you know, maybe not even that for some people, the few months, and you start getting into a routine and you can beat it. But they are very tricky in those early days. But I wish you all the best if you're listening to this. And yeah, I'll do another video soon.